It's the principles behind it that matter.
And Congressman, I'm trying to clarify what you were just kind of saying. Are you saying that they're too rigid? That they want people to conform to a certain set of principles, and that's too much for candidates? That's too much to ask, or what did you mean by that?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just, I think that. For those who say the Tea Party is gone, it's not making any difference. It's making a lot of difference. Even if the so-called Tea Party candidate doesn't get elected, whoever does get elected has to be spouting what the Tea Party Americans believe in, and that's the Constitution. That's
I'll tell you this:
our means. We have driven the message so that even the most establishment candidates have to be spouting the things that we believe in. Otherwise, they don't get elected.
Yeah. Louie, I haven't had a chance to talk to you since your amazing questioning of Comcast,
which was awesome,
which was almost erotic for me.
Well, I couldn't believe that he would sit there and make the comments he did. And it is so deeply offensive. For heaven's sake, you got Al Gore, who is supposed to be all about green, and yet he's willing to sell and accept money, millions and millions of dollars from people that are dripping with carbon and oil and all the nasty stuff he's against.
Enemies of, let's not even say America, enemies of women, homosexuals,
everything
of freedom.
In our Constitution about freedom. Yeah. Their idea of freedom is the freedom to only worship Allah, only. So a little different ideas there, and this is and they're about replacing our Constitution with Sharia law.
Well,
and for Comcast, and that deal would never have gone through unless Comcast said, "Yeah, we'll keep you on the air."
Oh yeah, no,
the deal got made. So you'd rather have people that want the Constitution to go away and be replaced by Sharia law than to have some crazy guy that just wants to talk about hope, love, and charity.
Right. Yeah. I know. Well, there's another, we have tried to buy a couple of networks, and one time Comcast kind of rejected it and said, you know what, go with the Canadian company instead. And we're like, the Canadian company? And it wasn't as good of a deal for, everybody involved, but, whatever, fine. That thing fell through, as we knew it would. They came coming back to us. And then now, the whole thing is that Comcast doesn't want us on because we might affect the election. That's what is in writing from one of the participants in that you brought up in, But here's the good news. Yesterday we met with them and they gave us 50 reasons why they'll never have the Blaze on. But one of them they made very clear is not because of political, and that's the only reason why that deal fell through. So I guess we can go back to the table and they'll close that deal and not a problem. We'll be on Comcast.
That's right.
I would imagine.
There you go.
So that's pretty good.
Otherwise, Glenn, if they don't, they have made their vice president a perjurer in front of Congress. So they better live up to what he said. Otherwise, they have just made him out a liar, which is a crime in front of Congress. So
which you nicely pointed out toward the end of your questioning of him.
But it wasn't just him. There were others that did the same thing.
Yeah.
There were others that, are just as concerned about people that might perjure themselves in front of.
Well, I've seen what Al Jazeera does and what they think of our Constitution and what they think of people who stand up for our Constitution. And it's mind-boggling to me that they would think, gee, we got to have those guys on, but we sure don't want a guy on that talks about hope, love, and charity. How dare you?
Well, I don't want to waste your time, your valuable time talking.
You're not wasting my time because that is an important issue. But I really appreciate the chance to come on and talk about something dear to your heart, the Patriot Act. Mm-hmm. And back when I was a freshman, it came up for reauthorization renewal because Jim Sensenbrenner had made sure there were sunsets in the original Patriot Act, which was done before I got here.
Yep.
But in the reauthorization, man, I'm a freshman, but I could already see, even though this was a Republican administration, the Bush administration, 05 and 06, that unless we had sunsets in there, you could not get even a Republican administration, a Republican DOJ to be accountable and to tell you or give you answers and information on what you needed. But if you had one of the laws they loved about to go away, well, then they rush in and try to cooperate. So I was determined we had to have sunsets, and Jim Sensenbrenner fought me tooth and nail. There were not going to be any sunsets. And, in fact, in our 30-minute meeting before the hearing started, well, and actually the day before I'd had DOJ people, the Attorney General had me to his office, calls from the White House, look, please back off the sunsets. We'll help you with amendment for this, that, or the other that you want, and I wouldn't back off. And 25 of our 30 minutes were the chairman and I yelling back and forth at each other, and I finally got one member after another, Republicans, it's the only Republican meeting, to say, you know what, I think we really should have sunsets on something here too. I agree with Louie. And then once everybody chimed in, then Dan Lundgren said, hey, I've got an amendment that does on 206 and 215. I said, fine, I don't care whose name's on it. But one of the things I expressed back then to the Bush administration, Gonzales folks, was that under the Patriot Act, 215 and in other places, they had said it's all about foreign intelligence, it's all about foreign agents and foreign countries, foreign activity, international terrorism. And I said, yeah, it says right here, it's an investigation to obtain foreign intelligence information not concerning a U.S. person, or, that disjunctive or, to protect against international terrorism or clandestine intelligence activities. And back then I was asking them, but you don't say foreign intelligence activities or clandestine. I mean, that could be an American citizen looking on the internet at something or peeking over a fence or something. That could be an American citizen, and you don't need this for American citizens. You got RICO, you've got all kinds of other things. This is supposed to be for foreign relationships, foreign ties somewhere. And they said, oh no, it's foreign intelligence or international. It's all in there. So that's concerning that. Well, as Zoe Lofgren said in our hearing on this bill, the U.S. Freedom Act is supposed to fix all the big loopholes they use to go after Americans. I had asked for information and was not given the information, and so people supported my amendment to make sure clandestine intelligence activity was only pertaining to someone who had contact with a foreign agent, a foreign government, something like that. And they have fought me tooth and nail. And Jim Sensenbrenner didn't want it on there, and I had it actually voted in because people on both sides of the aisle saw this is a gaping hole you can drive a truck through.
So here's the thing. So
but they kept my amendment from being part of it, and they wouldn't let it be part of the floor debate that we're going to take up tomorrow.
So what this basically does is what you want is in the Patriot Act just to say that it is foreign, so the government can't, the NSA and anybody else, they cannot spy on us. And, we were all so concerned that they would look at our library books. They're not looking at our library books.
They're looking at everything.
Everything.
Yeah, and this is the only remaining loophole for them to spy on American citizens and that don't have ties with foreign agents, foreign countries, things like that. I wanted that closed up, and they have fought me tooth and nail. And then my own party leaders have said, no, they say they don't want that in there. That's going to mess up the deal. Well, it's a gaping hole. Let's close it up.
So what do you want people to do, Louie? How can we help?
Call their members of Congress, call their senators, and say, quit leaving the administration a gaping hole to spy on American citizens. Close it up. Make sure it says can only be pertaining to foreign agents, foreign countries. And my amendment actually uses that.
Okay, what is the amendment called?
Well, it was the Gohmert Amendment to the USA Freedom Act. And it adds the words to clandestine intelligence activities. I add conducted by a foreign power or an agent of a foreign power. Okay. So that takes that away from go after American citizens. But there's apparently not been enough information. Americans don't know. They've been upset about it, and this is an important issue to Rand Paul. So I plan on calling Rand today and say, Rand, need your help over in the Senate on this.
Okay, so we will do that. Add the language of the Gohmert Amendment to the Freedom Act, the Patriot Bill. Make sure that it says clandestine foreign agents.
Yeah.
And they can find the language in the Gohmert Amendment. Can I switch topics and go to guns on military installations? Yep. This is such a no-brainer.
It should be.
We trust these guys to protect us and fight for us overseas, but then we strip them of all ability of protecting themselves here. And this is the second time now we have on one base. And I'm telling you, Louie, I mean, you're a Texan, I'm a Texan. I'm telling you, Fort Hood, it's gonna happen again.
Yes, it will. And Glenn, how tragic to go 4.5 years, and what did they do? What did they learn from the first one? Absolutely nothing. We have done nothing to prevent it, and now we're going to go about and do nothing to prevent the next one.
So is there any speed or any kind of stomach for anyone putting together a bill that says that they can carry guns on bases?
Well, actually, I got an agreement from the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, Buck McKeon, last night that we will work with the Senate, we will work with the conference committee, and try to get something in. But as we have seen on anything here in Washington, unless, like the Select Committee on Benghazi, now the Speaker is not going to let it get into as deeply as you and I think it should, but we didn't get a Select Committee until enough people rose up and said, this is outrageous, get to the bottom of it, let's quit messing around, get a Select Committee. Well, we got one. It's not going to be able to get into it like we want, but we didn't get a committee until people made clear that's what needed to happen. And it's the same thing on the Patriot Act, same thing on this guns on a military installation. My initial amendment to the NDAA was basically, look, anybody that can carry a gun overseas can carry one on a military installation. But I was trying to work a compromise with current commanders, generals, colonels that had reservations. Look, give them an option. Let them either have a duty roster where you rotate around and people with guns are requiring guns around places where there are potential problems. But if not do that, then allow procedure where guys can carry their weapons on military installations in the United States, like they do overseas.
That's ridiculous.
If a guy can fire RPGs overseas, surely he can carry, a 9mm here.
Yeah.
But there's got to be enough push that even the Democrats can feel it. And the great thing is this is an election year. This is when Democrats really get sensitive to what people are thinking back home, and establishment Republicans get sensitive to what people are thinking back home.
All right, Louie, I appreciate everything that you're doing. The march, the Fourth Amendment, and no spying. You call and tell your congressman and your senator, close the foreign clandestine agent loophole. Right. Make sure it says on foreign agents or foreign governments. The language is in the Gohmert Amendment. Also, to call and demand that service members are allowed to carry guns to protect themselves so we can protect the service members. Louie, I've got to run, but could I ask you one favor? Sure. If you haven't already, have you looked into Sergeant Tamarisi and his situation in San Diego?
Nope, but I sure will.
Okay, please do. I will have somebody from my office send this to you. This is going to turn what hair you have left Louis, completely white.
He's been held for 55 days in a Mexican prison.
And he went to the border. He went to San Diego for PTSD treatment. He was there for a couple of days. He got lost at night. He was 3 blocks away from the border. He made one wrong turn. He was at the border. He was living in his truck. He had everything in his truck, all of his clothes, everything, including 3 legally owned firearms. He calls 911 and says, I took a wrong turn. I think they're going to take my guns. They didn't take his guns. They have chained him at all 4 points in maximum security prison in Mexico, and nobody cares.
If this administration said you either treat him the way you're demanding to have Mexican citizens treated in the United States, or we're going to start treating your citizens like that, they would release him immediately.
That's what we've been saying the last couple days.
But Louis, if we could just get you and Ted and Rand and everybody else, that you would see a change on this, because it's an easy win for the president. It's an easy thing to do. He's just got to pick up the phone.
Just use comprehensive immigration reform as an example.
Yep. Thank you very much, Louis. God bless you. Thank you very much. Good guy, and I'll tell you, the great state of Texas is better to have him, and we are better to have him in office. One of the guys who really just doesn't care. Speaking of that.